Welcome back to Sustainable Success. I'm your host, Dr. Lisa Gordon, and today I'm just going to give you a sneak behind the scenes where I offer you an exclusive look into our company's process, also our values, um, and how we ensure ethical practices in our sourcing process. So, at the heart of ICMA Business Solutions, we believe that the foundation of our products lies not just in our quality, but also in the integrity of our sourcing practices. So, let me take you on a journey to understand how we achieve this. So, the very first step is looking at our supply chain. Our sourcing process begins with carefully selecting suppliers who share our commitment to ethical practices. And this involves background checks, assessments, audits to ensure that they meet the standards. Um, After that, we partner with suppliers who adhere to fair labour practices, environmental sustainability, ethical sourcing of materials, and we regularly visit the facilities to ensure that they're compliant and they foster a strong, transparent relationship. Now, I always talk about fair labour practices. Fair labor practices are, you pay somebody to do a job and they do that job that you've paid them to do. Not you pay someone to do a job and they don't do that job, right? That is not fair, either for the employee or the employer. Um, and also, you can't have like your Western mind on a situation in another country with a different culture. So when we are looking at fair labor practices, we're looking at when we're looking at fair labor practices, we're looking at, do they get paid a fair wage for what they do, and is the environment that they're in, is it safe for themselves to work and things like that. So when you see on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, wherever, anywhere on social media, you always see me put in pictures or videos of factories that I've visited myself personally. I've spoken to the bosses of the factories. And I have a very tight network with the people in there. So that's how we align it. Now, sometimes that's a score between 0 to 10. The small factories or the small, like, local vendors, they're normally family run or family run or self-employed person, so they're going to be paying themselves or they're going to be paying their family. So it's just looking at the environment, and it's also looking at the materials, how those materials source, and were the materials sourced ethically. So it's not always about the finished product, it's about the line up to that, and how transparent can we be with that. Now, normally when you deal with factories, it's very easy because they're tier one. But when you're in tier two, tier three, and it goes down and start going down a little bit, it's very difficult to manage the supply chain and see the transparency in there. So the main things when we're looking for criteria, let's just take, for example, fair labor practices. I have a gripe about that. I don't know any other business leaders that may not have the same thing, right? So the aspects that we're looking for, or the critical criteria that we're looking for, is to ensure that all workers in the supply chain are treated with respect and with dignity. This means that they get a fair wage for what they've been asked to do, reasonable working hours, and a safe working conditions. Now, for example, take ICMA Business Solutions. We are a remote company, and I inflict or I enforce flexible working times. So it's that you don't work a set 9 to 5, you schedule yourself. Yeah, what else? It's flexible work, so it's flexible working. So if you want to only work 2 days a week, just make sure that you do the work for 5 days. So that's the only thing. So they people so and because it's based at home as well, so people do their own hours. Now, have I had people? I don't know how much I can say, but have I had people that have taken advantage of that? Of course, yes, of course. It's very difficult to structure that. So now we've flipped over to a commission basis. So for our role, like it's all based on the results that you bring to the company. Not no longer people just sitting down expecting a salary and not doing nothing. That is not the case. So I have a little bit of a cry for that at the moment. So yes, so that's just talking about fair practices, how it's gonna differentiate from different places. Now, when we're looking at a factory, somebody's got to go into that factory. Some people work 12 hours. Um, some people work 6 hours, some people work five, some people work part time, right? But it are those conditions. Now, if you're a remote worker and you're working from home, so your conditions are the conditions that you set for yourself. But if you're leaving your house to go to somewhere, now are those working conditions? Do they have toilets? Do they have if they don't have a canteen on site? Is there somewhere where they can go get food? Do they bring their own food? If they bring their own food, is there somewhere for them to warm their food up? Also, a little bit different when you work off on site. Things that you have to worry about. Do they have employees? Do they have all the right insurances? This type of thing. So I digress. Yeah, my little bit of rabbit hole. I think I've got it off my chest. So I'm hoping the universe brings it round for me now. We'll see. But yes, are there a lot of people that uh, will take advantage and not be paid for the work that they do or say that they do a job and they don't do a job? Of course, there's going to be that. Are there going to be employers that say that are not treating their staff fairly, not treating their staff with dignity, not treating their staff with respect? Of course, there's going to be that. But sometimes you have to find a balance between making sure that all the criteria is tangible, things that you can see, right? Using your common sense, which I see these days is people not using, right? Okay. So at ITMA with Business Solutions, we do have a high standard that we set for ourselves. The commitment to fair labour practices pushes us continuously to improve and maintain ethical standards in our own operation. So, for example, there are some rules out there where if you work for a company, uh, you have to pay them like 2 months back or something like this, right? That's one rule, and it's legal, yeah. But then I just think would do just ethically I don't want people working for me that one are not happy. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Look, I don't want to work," I'm not gonna try and keep them. I'm just gonna be like, "Okay, bless them and let them go." Right? Now I've always been like that. Or if somebody, even if people are not um, performing to standards, like I give them as many chances as I can. But then at some point, I have to say, "Look, if you don't meet for example, let's talk about sales. If you don't meet the sales target in this amount of time, you're gonna have to go." Yeah, so it's all those things in place. So we do work diligently to ensure that all the sort diligently to make sure that eco-friendly materials and also the reduced waste throughout the supply chains. There's efforts for promoting sustainability practices are commendable. the Chinese government, especially at the moment, is really putting these things into place. Now they've been doing this for the one of the youngest factories I work with is like 15 years old. Another one is like 35 years old. So I know there's older factories than that. So they've been doing this a long, long time. Is there ways to go? There's still a lot of ways to go, but a lot of things have been put into place, especially when it comes to promoting sustainability. So, to ensure that suppliers adhere to these standards, we conduct regular ethical audits. These audits cover labour practices, environmental impact, and overall compliance with our ethical guidelines. Our audits are ridiculously rigorous, right? Throughout, we not only check for club compliance, but we also look at the and work with suppliers to address any issues and support them in implementing better practices that they can do for themselves. So this is a long journey, yeah. We're continuously improving. Like things that may have been like in place and could worked last year might not need to work, might not work this year. It's very fluid, it's very flexible, but a lot of the time we have to use common sense. A lot of things that's going out of practice at the moment, but common sense, can't say enough, right? So it's an ongoing journey. We're continually assessing, we continue refining our processes, and we're always staying ahead of the industry standards and addressing new challenges as they arise. So we don't just like, oh, well, we've always done it this week, so we're going to continue. No, like anywhere as well in my business, anywhere in my business, my team that I have at the moment, thank God. If they see something that's not working, they will tell me. Like, is there another way that we can do this? And I might put ahead something, and they might challenge that, and that's healthy, and that's how we grow and how we develop. And that I think that is the new way, is how we're moving into doing business, not this old dictatorship way. But I digress, right? So our commitment to ethical sourcing is unwavering. We believe in responsibility and to lead by example and set standards for others in the industry to follow. So that's it from me today. Thank you for joining us, looking at the behind the scenes of our sourcing process. And we hope to gain a better understanding and dedication to ethical practices. So stay tuned for more insights or for up and coming episodes. Until next time, this is Lisa Gordon signing off.